This is a dream that God has put on our hearts, I think. A church without walls needs to be a go-to church. Not just a bunch of people who go to church, but a church that goes to people. See, we need to change our perspective. Somewhere along the line, we began to think that church is a building. And the goal of church is to fill a building. And when the building gets full, we build a new building. The goal in the Bible never was to fill a building. The goal is to fill a city. We are not the church in a building. We are the church that is called and sent. What does it mean to be a church without walls?
My Calvary defining moment actually happened our first visit there, and you know, I had grown up in kind of a rigid church background, and when I walked into Calvary, the lobby had people drinking coffee in it, which was kind of new to me. And then I walked into the gathering room, and there were people in there drinking coffee. And not only were they drinking coffee, but the pastor, Pastor Dan, was up on stage drinking coffee as well. And you know, it was that moment that I realized that, you know, I'd always been taught and knew, I felt in my heart that Jesus loved me. But I never realized that Jesus loved me even if I was drinking coffee in church.
A defining moment for me was when I was in college, and I'd just been going to Calvary for a few weeks, and during one of the sermons, Dan swore. I don't even remember the word to be exact, but at that time I realized that he was just a normal person, a normal human being just like me, and that's when I realized that I wanted to be a part of Calvary.
My husband and I, when we first started going to the table, we left as soon as church was over. We did not notice the desserts in the lobby, but one day we noticed the desserts and we started to stay, and there's usually 3 or 4 delicious desserts, and people and food are a really good combination. We got to know a lot more folks, and we also started to volunteer as greeters and got to know more people that way.
From coffee to real-life language to desserts, there's always been a little bit of something for everyone at Calvary. Something that says this is home. But it's a community with a cause. It's a family with a vision.
God has given us a vision to expand our reach locally and around the world. Locally, we have a vision to develop a church without walls within 15 minutes driving distance of everyone in Central PA. This vision begins with 3 pivotal locations along the 322 corridor. As we solidify the facilities in these 3 locations, we will be better able to expand into other regional communities. It begins by extending our relationship with the State Theater, downtown where Calvary Midtown meets. It continues as we buy land in the Grays Woods community for Calvary Grays Woods. And the final pivotal location will be the first site upon which we build a facility. Harvest Fields gives us that missing position at the southeastern point of the 322 corridor.
From 500 feet, it's easy to get an idea of the stunning natural beauty of the Harvest Fields property. God has impressed on us that His story for Calvary is just as much about this land as it is the facility. Envision a planned public park with walking trails, water features, and shared parking, space for desperately needed community recreation fields, things like soccer and Little League. With access from newly finished Discovery Drive, imagine possibilities for winter recreation, summertime picnics, or walks to enjoy the fall colors. Great places abound to connect with God and each other. It's exciting to finally see coming into reality the vision of this space as a resource for the whole community. Great connections won't stop outside the building. Just inside the main entrance, the atrium will include flexible setup to host everything from group meetings to weddings with a scenic backdrop. It's also a place where moms can escape our harsh winter, sharing a hot drink with friends while their kids play safely nearby. A secure and creative kids area will serve our infants through elementary age groups. A cafe is designed to eventually serve a variety of hot beverages and specialty coffee products, as well as lunch and other snacks. A couple of smaller and mid-sized gathering spaces are planned to accommodate groups from 10 to 100. Finally, a multi-use auditorium is designed to host banquets and seminars, as well as inspiring worship services for up to 600 people. We also expect high demand for this space for corporate retreats, concerts, theater productions, and other community events.
From these 3 strategic places, we will be better able to expand into communities such as Phillipsburg, Pinns Valley, Bellefonte, and Warriors Mark. And with a gathering already meeting in Warriors Mark, a priority in this initiative is to buy land and expedite the development of a facility to serve their community. As we expand our gatherings, we will look to Bellefonte as our next site. And from Bellefonte, we will go all the way to Myanmar as we partner with our friends there to start churches among one of the largest unreached people groups in the world, 28 million Burmese Buddhists. What an amazing opportunity God has given us to partner with nationals there to reach that nation for Christ.
Our mission is unwavering. We seek to live out the gospel by connecting people to Christ's community and their calling in the world. That's what building a church without walls is all about. From facilities to staff to supporting missionaries in Nigeria and packing food for Muslims in Somalia, from Kids Connection to HSM to Elements to Third Place, from City Serve to Common Food to Common Place. We are the church where we live, and God has given us an uncommon mission to show our neighbors around the world living proof of a loving God.
When I first started coming to Calvary, I was not sure at all about this God thing, but through many different circumstances, He met me and where I was, and led me to the point in time where I was willing to believe that He is who He claims to be. And so in what is now the prayer room, I knelt and gave my life to the Lord.
A God moment that made me realize that we're not Calvary, Warriors Mark. We are part of Calvary as one whole Calvary.
The people of Grays Woods and Calvary ministered to me and loved me and helped me to learn and grow in my faith of God.
I actually learned what community was like, and I think that's a big part of what Calvary is.
So our defining moment at Calvary really has been a lot about our life group, because they've really become family to us. We've been through births, we've been through people's deaths, and then as we've had kids, it's been a great time just for our kids to grow up in a good community.
In 2003, just a year after I preached that first sermon on building a church without walls, I wrote these words. Envision a community of people living a life so extraordinary at work, in the neighborhood, at school, that it's like a light shining in the darkness. Envision a community of people who bring wholeness to the broken and comfort to the grieving and help to those in need. Envision a community of people with open hearts who extend open arms to the forgotten, the disillusioned, and the disheartened, to people who are the first to cross the barriers that divide us. Envision a community founded on the stability of truth and understanding the power of grace, a community that regularly experiences a sense of awe because of God's presence in its midst. Envision a church which is not a building, but a people living life and giving life in such a way that the whole region is being transformed. This is the vision of a church without walls. And when I look at this valley, that's what I see. And I want us to be a part of it. What do you see?